No one left behind is more than a standard we all live up to. It is a way of life. It is part of our mission. If you or someone you know finds themselves struggling with their mental health, please contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 on your mobile phone or text 838-255 to speak or chat with a qualified counselor. Hello, hello, hello. Is it May yet?
Not quite. We're still stuck here in November, but we're heading into Thanksgiving, and we are recording this on a Friday. So I'm wearing my red shirt. I see Hoofer's wearing his red shirt, and just want to say welcome home,
And
everybody.
I have red in
and
my
welcome
shirt.
You've got red. And welcome to the Run for the Wall podcast. This is episode 7, and we are really glad that you're here and can join us to talk about Run for the Wall and all the things that we got going on.
Absolutely. And if this is your first time joining us, you probably want to know, what is Run for the Wall? Well, Run for the Wall is the largest and oldest cross-country motorcycle run in support of veterans and raising awareness for those who are or were prisoners of war, those who are missing in action, as well as those who made the ultimate sacrifice with their service by being killed in action. And we just come together to share our mission, continue to build community, and find out ways that we can carry on, run for the wall.
That's right. We want to continue the mission and just bring new people into the fold. Make sure that our loyal and faithful Run for the Wall riders are up to date with the latest information. And also, a big part of our mission is spreading the word about our veterans and what our veterans have gone through, the sacrifices they made personally and their families, and make sure that that information gets passed down to the younger generation. That's a really important part of our mission.
Absolutely. All right, so to kick things off in episode 7, who do we have for sponsors? Because we definitely always want to give thanks to those who have shown their support throughout the years. And we're coming up on year 35.
35 years. This year, the 2025 Run for the Wall will be the 35th Run for the Wall. And, we couldn't do it without the generosity and support of so many people. We can't name everyone, but at the top of our list is Fuller Law, Chad Fuller. If you've watched the podcast before, you've heard us mention him. He donates legal counsel to Run for the Wall pro bono. I think that means for free. No, it does. But you know what? If you or somebody else is in need of legal counsel, please contact Fuller Law at 1-855-FULLER LAW, FULLERLAW, or you can find them on the internet at fullerlawforwriters.com.
And they're at the bottom of our website as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. If you go to the Run for the Wall website at rftw.us and scroll all the way to the bottom on the homepage, you'll find a link to Chad Fuller's legal firm, Fuller Law. So thanks, Chad. Thank you, everybody there at Fuller Law. We really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. Want to give a shout out again to the Greater Ontario Convention and Visitors Bureau for their incredible hospitality every year. When the run departs from Ontario, California, we've got a lot of riders, friends, and family visitors in town, and they really go all out to make us feel welcome and at home, and it's a fantastic kickoff to the Run for the Wall. So we're looking forward to seeing all you in May. And then also, we want to give a big shout out to Pepsi and Coca-Cola for providing products for our hydration trailers. Every year, they provide drinks and snacks and all kinds of stuff for our riders. And they donate it all, and it's given free of charge to the riders on all 4 routes. So thank you again to Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and we again couldn't do it without you.
I have 2 quick things to piggyback off that. You mentioned how many people come to Ontario even to see the riders off. And that's not something we've ever really mentioned. It's not just the riders who are there. We have so many family, friends, and just people who come out to support, so if you're doing the run or you plan on doing the run and you want your family members to come out and see you off, they're most certainly welcome.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We usually have a flyover when the weather cooperates. Last year we couldn't do it, but there's usually a flyover with a missing man formation that goes overhead, and then we have the color guard, which is provided through some other organizations. Can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but we also have vendors who are out there. Breakfast burritos provided by CMA, Christian Motorcycles Association, and there's other things that going on out there too. It's really a pretty fun time. So if you want to see the riders off and see a whole bunch of motorcycles getting out on the road, it's a fun time to come down and support our riders and support our mission.
And then with this being the 35th coming up, I see you have Roman numerals on your shirt. What is your shirt from? I can't.
This is last year.
Can't see. The microphone is blocking. Okay, now I can
30,
see. Yeah,
34.
Okay. And where was that one from?
Yeah. This was from Junction City. They hand these out every year to all the riders, and they have all different colors. I grabbed a crimson one, and yeah, it's great. I love it. I get a shirt there every year, so I've got a few of these now.
Awesome. And then my greatest apologies. I did not introduce our guest for this episode. I just jumped right in because, we've been chatting leading up to pressing record. But this episode, we have Jim Hoofer McCrain, and he is actually a photographer on the run. And Hoofer actually reached out to us saying, hey, I'd love to come on and share a photographer's perspective. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so good because what you all see and what you all capture. And to be honest, I've been over the past week going through all the photos, trying to get together, social media posts. So I've gone through thousands of photos trying to narrow down and pull out different ones. And what you all capture, like over the past week, I've been re-experiencing all of the routes because I had to go through all of the routes photos, and I am
welcome to our world.
Yeah, I am incredibly excited to hear from you. But please, everyone, welcome Jim Hoofer McCrain. But we're going to do our news and events.
Yeah,
upcoming news and events.
Go ahead.
Okay, so. As always, registration is open. If you're new, registration is open. You can go to www.rftw.us to get registered. If you want to go, thinking about going, planning on going, go ahead and get registered because as Boots always brings up, it helps with the planning process, okay? It helps us get our numbers together and, start to figure out platoons, which we'll talk about later, and things of that nature. Countdown to the run. Midway route will be pulling off Tuesday, May 13th. Central and Southern routes, kickstands up Wednesday, May 14th. And Sandbox route, Sunday, May 25th. Volunteer signups. You can head to the website if you would like to volunteer your talents in any areas on your route, or even prior to the run, because there's a lot. What's that?
And since we're talking about photographers, I believe the Central route is still looking for a photographer. So if you have any interest, fill out that volunteer form and let us know.
Absolutely. Yes, fill out the volunteer forms, check the forums, because in the forums, I believe they share what routes are still in need. And if you go to the routes on the website, you can also click and see what positions are filled and not filled under the contacts.
Right.
We are headed into Thanksgiving. I believe this episode will post after. Yes, this episode will post after Thanksgiving, but hopefully
Yep.
you all would have caught the Black Friday sales for merch on the website. Hotel and camping information will be released on or about January 1st. Route itinerary booklets, those will be coming out about March. Yeah, about March time frame. We're
Yeah, and
thinking.
remember, they're digital this year.
Okay.
So if you want a printed copy, print one out and bind it together.
Okay. Well, that was news to me. Thanks. I'll do that. Thank you for sharing that information. And yeah, information on prepaid fuel that will also be out in March. What do we have for meetups and other information?
Yeah, in case you don't know, like let's say you live in Colorado or Northern California or Maryland or Tennessee, we have local meetups all over the country. I went to the Arizona meetup last Saturday. It was a great time. It was great to see my Run for the Wall family. One guy drove all the way out from California. It's not that far from where he lives to Phoenix. We met actually at Alan and Mary Steiner's house, which was awesome. He cooked hamburgers and oh my gosh, it was a great spread. But there's a monthly meetup or maybe weekly in Colorado, Northern California, Washington, D.C. area. But check the Run for the Wall forum for more information on that. And also the events calendar on the Run for the Wall website. Let's see. I wanted to talk real quick about route communications. Again, we're just getting the word out. I know you're probably tired of hearing me talk about it, but we're moving away from CB for route communications, and we're moving to GMRS, which is a much better technology. If you are riding in the pack, I wanted to make it clear because we got a few questions like, do I absolutely have to have a GMRS radio? No, you don't. Only if you're in a leadership position like a platoon, or a tail gunner, or some other leadership position, you would need to have the radio. But if you're just like an FNG and you're a pack rider, you don't have to buy a GMRS radio. It is kind of helpful, though, to listen in, and we ask you to not key the mic, but you can listen in and hear the communication going on from the front of the pack to the back of the pack and kind of get a handle on what's going on when there's construction areas, when we're speeding up, when we're slowing down, because we do call, the route coordinator will call all that out on most routes. I'm speaking from my experience on the central route, but each route will handle it a little differently. Each route coordinator will handle it a little bit differently, but it is interesting to listen in. So that information, again, can be found on the Run for the Wall forum.
Thank you, Boots. Hoofer, are there any updates or news things that you know about in the photographer world or anything that we need to?
Well, I didn't know that Xbox wasn't going to be doing the photography for Central Route.
Yeah, he's going to be road guarding.
Oh, wow.
Traitor.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Hey, road guard. I've been a road guard. That's a lot of fun. It's a lot of responsibility, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to be the photographer for Central Route and you have any doubts, call me. Boy, I'll talk you into it. It is best job you can ever have on Run for the Wall.
Look, and this is the platform.
It even beats being RC.
Look, this is the platform. We're going to convince someone after this to become the photographer.
So I don't want to give Hoofer's contact information out like over the podcast here, but if you're interested, go to the Run for the Wall website, go to the Midway Route Hub, click on Midway Route Contacts, and then you can find Hoofer's contact information and contact him, or you can contact us and I can put you in contact with Hoofer if you're interested in fulfilling that role.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
And I'm not afraid to put this out there. You can go to hoofer@rftw.us.
Okay.
Here's my Run for the Wall email.
Perfect.
So,
thank you.
How come his gets to be Hoofer at RFTW? I want to change my email to Hitch at RFTW.
I can make that happen.
It's okay. I was joking.
Yeah.
So it be written, so it be done.
So let it be done.
All right. On On a serious note, this is the portion of the podcast where we share the why we ride. So, Boots, will you share today's bio?
I will. Let me get us set up
Thank
here.
you.
So this is always a somber note for me. And, as I said many times before, I thought this would get easier every time I do it, but
No.
it really doesn't. So bear with me as I get through this, and we honor and remember two very brave heroes who gave their last full measure of courage so that we could live in freedom. And this, Run for the Wall family, is why we ride. Today we remember Major David Beryl Williams and Major Joseph William McDonald. David Williams was born August 6, 1941 in Lafayette, Louisiana. He is a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy and served in the United States Marine Corps. Joseph McDonald was born in Wappingers Falls, New York. I hope I pronounced that right. And also served in the United States Marine Corps. He graduated from Notre Dame, class of 1968. They were both assigned to the USS Coral Sea. On May the 3rd, 1972, an A-6A flown by First Lieutenant Joseph W. McDonald was launched on a mission over North Vietnam. Flying as the guy in back for McDonald was Captain David B. Williams. Over the coast of North Vietnam, near the city of Ron in Quang Binh province, their aircraft was shot down. Both men were placed in the category of missing in action, MIA. The Defense Intelligence Agency further clarified McDonald's and Williams' categories with an enemy knowledge qualifier. Both men received ratings of Category 3, which indicates doubtful knowledge, and includes personnel whose loss incident is such that it is doubtful that the enemy would have knowledge of the specific individuals. For example, air crews lost over water or in remote areas. Even though both men were classified missing in action, Defense Department notes indicate some likelihood that McDonald perhaps was captured. There are no such notations relating to Williams. The Vietnamese denied any knowledge of either crewman. In late October 1989, it was announced that remains returned to the U.S. by the Vietnamese had been identified as being those of David B. Williams. No word of McDonald has ever been publicly announced. Major Joseph W. McDonald to this day remains MIA. David B. Williams' name can be found on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. on panel 1W, line 13. Joseph W. McDonald's name can be found on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. on panel 1W, line 12. It is not the worst thing to die in war. It is not the worst thing to be missing in war. The worst thing is to be forgotten in war. Say their names, tell their stories, never forget. David B. Williams and Joseph W. McDonald, on behalf of a grateful nation, we thank you for your service, and we will never forget.
Thank you, Boots, for sharing those bios today. All right. It's always hard transitioning.
I know.
From those.
It is. It really is.
All right, but
we read those every morning on the Midway Road. Yep. And it's wonderful to see the reaction of the riders. But it's a horrible way to end the meeting. Because
But I also...
Yeah, it's actually a really good way to end the meeting.
I was going to say, but I also feel it's a great way to end the meeting because it reminds you why we're here. We're not on a joyride. It's a mission.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And I think it puts us in that frame of mind. And especially on those really tough days, having to ride in the rain or, hailstorms and other things, the heat, for me, the cold. The cold. And it, it really puts it into perspective. I'm writing for those who can't.
Absolutely.
Right. And also what the soldiers endure in combat situations, whether they're in Afghanistan or Vietnam or Korea or wherever they're stationed, is far worse than what we experience riding our motorcycles across the United States. So
Absolutely.
it is a motivator for me too. When I think about that, when I get hungry or tired or cold or too hot or something, I think about these men and women and our active duty. You know, that's why we wear red on Fridays. Remember everyone deployed.
Yes,
What they're
Hoofer.
enduring. You know, I'm here surrounded by everything that makes me comfortable, and they're not. So,
And Boots, I can also tell you that it's also a motivator for me as someone who is a combat veteran. When I am in tough situations, whether it's the run or anything in life, I'm like, okay, I can suck this up for an hour or 2 hours or even a day or 3 or 10.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's better than being in Iraq. It's better than that.
There you go.
You know, so
Amen.
It's how I keep myself going. But Huffer, you showed us your shirt, you know, when Boots mentioned remember everyone deployed, and your shirt actually says that. What's your shirt from? Or where's your shirt from?
My shirt is from, let's see if I can get it over here where you can see it. Can you see that?
Yeah.
American Legion Post 138 in Tempe, Arizona. Damn straight. You have to say that every time.
Oh my God.
Oh, you do. If you walk, not if, but when you walk in there, somebody will yell out, Post 138, and the whole place will erupt with damn straight.
Oh, so it's like when we say, how far are we going?
All the way.
Yeah, so it's the same.
138, damn straight.
Damn straight.
It's even painted on the outside of their new building.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love
They
that.
just moved from Tempe to Mesa, Arizona, so they're real close.
So
they actually made me a part of the Sons of the American Legion, thanks to Tempe, Arizona.
That's awesome.
Post 138.
And thank you for sharing that with us. And that's a perfect transition into our customs and traditions. But now I feel compelled to do a twofer, like a twofer, because we literally just, and we do it every episode, you know, the is it May yet? And at the end, how far are we going? All the way. That is a custom and tradition that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you want to speak on that, Boots? Like, or Hoofer, either or.
Well, let me tell you, one of the reasons they do this is Post 138 Street is the ones who came up with the idea of what they call the 7 o'clock toast. Okay. And every day at 7 o'clock, the bar goes silent. Somebody stands up and recites the 7 o'clock toast. And let's see if I can remember it. To those who went, to those who are there still, to those who never return, to those who never will.
Okay.
Cheers.
That's beautiful.
They do this every single day, 365 days a year. I know that there have been people up there on Christmas. They've done it on Christmas.
I love that.
It's a tradition that one of the things I get to do is I'm the leader of what's called Hoofer's Hooligans. And every year on the way out to Run for the Wall, we might talk about that later, I don't know.
I hope
one
so.
of the things we get to do is we stop there and they feed the hooligans. And I've been honored a couple of times to actually get to lead the 7 o'clock toast.
That's awesome.
We've even broadcasted, done a Zoom call through my church and several other organizations. We will do a Facebook Live or a Zoom on that.
Okay.
So it's an amazing thing to go out there and be with those guys.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about Hoofer's Hooligans for sure. But onto our customs and traditions. How did that get started? How far are we going? All the way. Do you know? Do either of you know? Not really.
I don't know.
Like
that might be
thing.
it might be a good question for Gunny. That sounds like a Gunnyism.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. But it's definitely one of our.
Well, yeah. Another saying, the common greeting when everyone arrives is "Welcome home," which is common throughout the military. But you hear that a lot. I heard it for the first time when I showed up in Ontario my FNG year, and I had somebody who was obviously a Vietnam vet hug me and say, "Welcome home." And, you know, I'm a patriot. I'm not a veteran. welcome home. I never left home, but
Yeah.
it's very humbling to have somebody who is a combat vet who went out there and experienced what they experienced tell me welcome home.
Mhm.
But I am home with my Run for the Wall family, and I get it now.
Yeah.
I didn't get it then. I sure do now.
All right, so today we're actually going to talk about our platoons and how those are structured and
Yes. Yeah. So, for those of you who have been on the Run for the Wall, you know. For those of you who are FNGs and you're wondering, how the heck are we going to get 1,500 motorcycles safely from Ontario to DC to Marseilles, Illinois, depending on what route you're going on? So one of the things that we established to try to help keep the pack safe and also to help other traffic, because we're sharing the road most of the time. On some states, they close the whole road for us, and the local law enforcement will shut down a portion of the interstate while we're going through New Mexico, for instance, and we have the whole road to ourselves on the central route. But we divide the ridership up into platoons, and each platoon is going to be slightly different. And the platoons range from about 12 bikes to as many as 24 bikes. And each platoon has a platoon leader and an assistant platoon leader that sets the pace. And then there could be one or possibly two tail gunners who bring up the rear of the platoon. And the platoons generally ride side by side. Some platoons are staggered. And depending on the route and depending on other factors, as we get closer to the East Coast, you're actually a little bit safer when you're side by side and tight, because it's easier for us, the road guards, to protect the platoons from traffic, because we're also, the road guards are blocking on ramps and intersections. When the when the pack is tighter, it's easier for us to get you through safely. But the platoons are where you're going to live for the Run for the Wall. And you get to know the other people in your platoons, and they become like family. After a day or two, you realize how everybody rides, their strengths, their weaknesses, the sound of their bike. It's really quite an interesting thing, how the dynamic forms. And then there's a gap between each platoon of about 3 to 4 seconds, so that, let's say the Run for the Wall is occupying lane 2 and some car who's not associated with Run for the Wall needs to get over and exit the highway, they can go in between the gap between platoons and safely exit the highway. And oftentimes road guards are there to help tell the car, follow me, I'll get you through. They'll find the gap and we get the car through the pack and off the exit safely. That's kind of how we get organized and how we keep the pack safe and moving down the road. Hoofer, you got anything to add to that?
No, you did great.
Okay. Good answer.
Not your first rodeo.
Not at all. All right, so that brings us to our topic of the day, which is being a photographer on Run for the Wall. And again, thank you so much, Hoofer, for reaching out to us and just being eager to sit down and talk about what it is you do. So the big question is, like, what is the photographer's role? What is it like meant to you? Like, just break it down for us.
Yeah, and also, I'm going to let you go in a sec. Hold on. I want to know, like, what does the day look like for you?
Yeah.
Like, how do you plan it? Because I see the photographers off on the side of the road, up on overpasses, then passing the pack, passing the road guards. You're like everywhere.
And Hoofer was just talking about Pappy like this. He was like, next thing you know, he's like right there. Boom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Me
now.
too.
You go.
Me too.
No,
me too.
No, that's absolutely fine. First off, before I even get into that, I wanted to mention something that, to me, and that's the reason I actually reached out, is I want everybody to know that I'm not a veteran. Never have been, never will be. But I got to join and be a part of Run for the Wall. And I have never been treated any differently than any veteran or active duty. For those of you who aren't veterans and you're wondering, can I be on the run? not only can you be on the run, the veterans want you there. They want you to come in. They really, really appreciate your enthusiasm
Yes.
for being part of Run for the Wall. I started with Run for the Wall just because I knew a lot of vets. And before the first 3 days were over, this was on the Southern route back in 2014. Before the third day was over, I had vets like you were talking about, Boots, coming up and telling you, welcome home, calling me brother, making me feel like I was one of them. I never forget that I'm not one of them, because Hitch, you did something I never did. I never want to. So thank you. Welcome home.
Thank you.
But being a civilian has also, not only have they welcomed me in, but they've also given me some extra things I can do, which one of them is becoming the photographer. I was actually a road guard on the Midway route and I always carried my cameras with me. And the photographer was missing. They were just gone for one of our stops. And I just happened to grab my camera out of my pack, and walked into the school, and I'm just taking pictures. And all of a sudden, I was asked, can you take some more? And some more, and some more. And so for 3 days, I was both a road guard and the unofficial photographer.
That's a
the
task.
Next year, it was a lot of fun. The next year, maybe I wasn't a good road guard, I don't know, because I was asked if I would just be the photographer. And I said, yeah, I still carry my photographer sleeves and my road guard sleeves. There have been a couple of times you'll see me with a yellow sleeve and a white sleeve, which is lots of fun as well. My background was, before I did this, the reason I always carry a camera, I've been a photographer all my life. Literally since the age of 12, when my parents bought the county newspaper, I've been taking photos of everything and getting them published.
Oh, wow.
At this point, for close to 50 years. So I always carry a camera. What was the question?
So just listen.
I get excited.
So you know what? Like, we haven't even gone or started through the questions. I just wanted to know, or better this. Remember how we brought up that Central Route does not have a photographer right now? What is your pitch?
Right.
No pun intended, because we had pitch episodes ago. But yeah, what would your pitch be? What is the experience that would draw them to wanting to do it?
Just to let you know, you do not have to be a professional photographer to be the photographer for Run for the Wall. In 2014, my FNG year, the photographer was using a phone, an iPhone. And the pictures looked great. And then she borrowed my camera for 3 days, but I asked for it back. But any phone will work, or any camera will work. You don't have to have the big professional lenses or anything like that. Because what you're going to do, I do remember the question was, what does the day look like?
Yeah.
You're going to get up early in the morning, especially if your roommate happens to be the road guard captain. You're going to get up really early in the morning. Yes, that's happened to me for 3 years. And you're going to get to go out there, and you're going to see people stumbling around in the early morning trying to find where's my platoon, where's the burritos, or where's my coffee. And you get to walk up to them and say, smile. And if you've got the right attitude, everybody's going to smile. A couple of people are going to go, not now, not yet. But you get to interact with everybody. And I get to meet every single FNG on the run, which is fantastic. I make it a point to do that. And I get to know most every other rider as well. And then you're going to go, you as the photographer, you can go anywhere you want. You can do almost anything you want to do. You can ride anywhere you want. Talk to your road guard captain first. Make sure they know you're doing this. You just get to interact with everybody. And it's amazing. People want to have their pictures taken. They want to remember this. I always tell everybody on the Midway route, take the pictures that you want, but don't worry about if you miss something. I'm going to be there to capture it for you. Do my best to capture everything for you. And I want to get pictures of you hopefully enjoying your FNG year. You get to ride with and like a road guard. Booch, you mentioned we get to go past the road guards.
Yep.
The photographers are, I know on the Midway route, are the only people other than road guards that are allowed to pass the pack. And as far as I know, I'm the only person that gets to pass the road guards.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And you've seen us on the overpasses. You know, we have to get in front of you so we can get pictures of you. But our day starts early and it ends really late. At the end of every day, I'm one of the last people to leave our dinner because I want to document everything from people getting their food to the presentations to the people who are giving us the food. I try to get pictures of all of them. I try to get pictures of the venue. But what that means is I get back home very late to the hotel at night. And then I try to go through, you talked about all the pictures you went through. I look at almost all of the pictures every single night that I've taken that day. Now, it may just be glancing through real quick because I'm looking for images that will tell the story of that day.
Right.
And I do a quick edit of them and I put them out there on the internet for people to look at. I'm generally done by 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And then I write the sit reps. So I'm done with that about 1 o'clock in the morning. And it all starts again at 5:30, 6 o'clock the next morning. So, but if you're the photographer, you don't have to write the sit reps. But you do get to go and play with everybody every day. It's the most fun job you can have. You get to experience things. You just do it. Just do it. I dare you. I dare you to.
It's a dare. It's a double dog.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
And if you do want to do it, seriously, reach out to me. I can tell you all of the ins and outs of it. When Xbox was going to be doing it this past year, we actually set up a Zoom call between myself and Jerry Lanier, who is the Southern Route photographer. And we got together online and just talked about what's it like? What do you do? How do you do this? What do you do when the police officer pulls you over and says, stop, don't go anywhere? Stop, don't go anywhere. That's the secret.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Police officers, they trump the road guards. So.
Absolutely. Speaking as a road guard who's, yes, I got pulled over last year by Virginia's finest doing road guarding, and they were very, very kind and very gracious and let me know that what I did can't be done again. So thank you very much to Virginia State Patrolmen for keeping us safe, and also, for all of them, and also for not giving me a ticket, which I richly deserved. They do an amazing job. Law enforcement in all the states and towns that we go through. So
offline, you can ask me, how did I almost get arrested in Albuquerque?
Oh no, we're going to hear about that today. Okay, so running it back a little bit, you talked about starting with Run for the Wall because you knew a lot of vets. So how exactly were you introduced to Run for the Wall?
I remember the day precisely. Okay. It was July 4th. What was the year? 2013. Okay. I had just bought a Triumph motorcycle, a nice British motorcycle. And so I figured I knew about out in Terrell, Texas, there is a graveyard, a cemetery that has, I believe it's 7 British flyers that were killed during training in Terrell, Texas before World War II. Okay. And I went out there to honor them. Plus, it was 4th of July. It's a good thing to do. And there was a guy named John Melashenko. He used to be with the Southern Route. His name was Weasel. He was one of the road guards. He had a patch that said, Run for the Wall, all the way. And I asked him about it. And he told me a little bit about it. And I thought, well, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe I should look into that. Well, the next month in August, I got a phone call from Reed Choate, his name was Pops. He was the RC for the Southern Route that year. And he said, I heard that you are interested in Run for the Wall. So we went out to lunch a couple of times, and I told him I was interested, but I was also worried because I'm a civilian and this is a military thing. And he's the one who really impressed on me. It is a military thing, but it's not. He told me it was the welcome home parade that the Vietnam vets never got. And so I wanted to be a part of it. Well, so I registered. in September, I found myself in Kerrville, 2013, for the reunion. I got to thinking, if I'm going to go across the country with all these weird guys and girls, I want to know a little bit about them, see if I'm going to be weird enough to fit in. And I was. So, yeah, by September, I was absolutely convinced I was going to do this for a couple of days. And my wife looked at me and said, no, 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 no. You're going to do it all the way. I know you. You don't just do a little bit. You overdo it. And so in 2014, in May, I rode all the way, Southern Route. And it was amazing.
And have you done it every year since, aside from COVID?
Every year except the COVID years. And I've gone supposed to have gone all the way every year. There was a year where, let's just say there was a road rage incident between a trucker and myself, and it was okay. The bike was dirty. I needed a new one anyway.
Gotcha.
So it was, yeah.
Gotcha. And do you always do?
Yeah,
do you do Midway now?
No, I started out as Southern Route for 3 or 4 years, and then Ken Dugas asked me if I would come up to the Midway route and be one of his road guards. I said absolutely, because I want to know what all routes are like.
Oh, so you've done Central Route as well?
I'm not yet. I'm moving north.
He's getting there.
Looking at you.
I have done some of Sandbox.
Okay.
So Central's the only one I have not been a part of. So.
Well, we'd love to have you.
But I've been to one of the reunions up there, in Angel Fire.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
2 years ago.
And so, aside from photographer and road guard, have you held any other positions?
Yeah, I started out as in 2015, I was a tail gunner for one of the platoons. Then I became a road guard. I've served as an ambassador, doing the photography work. As the photographer, you're out there a lot on your own.
Okay.
And so I talked with the ambassadors on the Midway route and said, hey, as long as I'm going out there, do you want me to do some embassing? And they said, sure. So I'm an unofficial ambassador, even though I've got the hats. Because, yeah, if you're out there, you're going to talk to people, and you want to. So I'm handing out pens and pencils to the kids, and pens to the adults, pencils to the kids. Just trying to talk about RFTW all that I can to everybody that I can. So, yeah, road guard, tail gunner, ambassador, photographer, and 4 or 5 years ago, I was asked to write the sit reps for the Midway route too. So
they keep you busy.
And I'm currently doing both. Yeah, my days are extreme. Yeah,
that's a ton of
work. It is. So listen, when we say thank you for your service, we mean it.
And I thought I was busy on the run. Holy cow!
Everybody is busy, and nobody is above anybody else.
That's true.
But I will say this. I have been known to get into the hotel, see the big long line of people waiting to check in, and I will very politely go up there and say, can I please jump in front of you? I still got some work to do.
Yeah,
and everybody's been very nice about that, yeah.
So how do you prepare yourself, Hoofer, for Run for the Wall, like physically and emotionally? Physically
is real easy for me. You're going to hate this because I'm a long-distance rider. I do a lot of iron butt rides, 1,000 miles a day, in 24 hours, no problem. I do.
I've seen your bike.
Yeah, I'm going to convince you about the car tire. I know.
I thought that was going to come up.
What happened?
And I will say, well, he mentioned about a car tire on the back of my rally bike. I will not put a car tire on any bike that's a big bike because I don't think they're safe on a big bike. But certain bikes with certain tires, not just any tire, can be very, very safe. So that's what I've got on my rally bike. But no, how I prepare is I ride. I get out and I ride at least once a week. Okay, having said that, when I got back from the run this year, I twisted my ankle pretty bad, and I didn't get to ride for several months.
Okay.
It was pretty bad. But I get myself physically ready by riding. My bike is always in good condition. The tires are always in good. I know that you talked about tires.
Yep.
Tires are always in good shape. I replace them before the run every year. just because it's just safer. Check all the fluids. The bikes, both of them are ready to go at any given time. Mentally, I try to run or live my life as if Run for the Wall was happening every day. In fact, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I got to lead a group up to Omaha, Nebraska, to visit the DPAA office or their forensics lab in response to Shannon Spake, who is a MIA daughter. This was the lab where they are doing the work on her father, who's missing in action, Dennis Pike, been missing in action for 50 years. They haven't found him, but they found a lot of his artifacts, things that he was literally, the clothing that he was wearing, including his socks.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's getting pretty darn personal right there.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't found him yet. While we were up there were 8 of us that went up there. We were talking about preparing ourselves. And one of the things we came up with, and I know you guys have already said it a couple of times, is it May yet? Some of us were saying we like it, but we don't like that saying. What we like is every day is May.
Every day is May. Because
some of us are trying to do this. My church knows that anytime I get a chance, I'm talking about things that have happened on Run for the Wall. Everybody who's met me in the last 13 years know that I'm always talking about what we do on Run for the Wall. I'm always inviting vets and other riders, come out, experience this. If you don't ride, I was talking to people, come out and just be there. Even if you don't want to do something patriotic, be on an overpass. Excuse me. Be on an overpass when 300 motorcycles go underneath you.
Yeah.
And feel the road shake. I do anything and everything I can almost every day to talk about Run for the Wall and the mission. That's how I prepare myself, because I just don't let it stop. So is it May yet? Every day is May. That's the way I go for it.
Every day.
And I really like that phrase, because to me, every day is May.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to live Run for the Wall all the time.
I like it.
Who was it created the phrase, continue the mission? Charlie Mike?
Yep.
We Charlie Mike every day. Even my wife does. She talks about it all the time too. And she's never been all the way. She's only ridden 2 legs of Run for the Wall. And that was back in 2014. So, yeah, every day is May.
Yeah, I think it's actually Charlie Tango Mike.
Oh, well, yeah. I
have
the
a
patch
patch
I've
that
got
says
just says
that.
Charlie
Yeah.
Mike. Yeah. So, anyway, that's how I stay ready for it. I do other things also. I don't know if anybody's heard of the Tour of Honor, which is a self-paced, self-guided tour of memorials all across the country. It starts on April 1st, ends on October 31st. Every state in the union has 7 different locations that they've created with memorials that they found. And you just go and you ride around to all of these things. There are, I believe, 276 of them in the nation, including Hawaii. And one person this year got to all of them. And you just go up there and you just take a picture of it with your little rally flag, and you spend some time remembering people. If you haven't done Tour of Honor, look into it. On the Hoofer's Hooligans ride that we take every year out to California, I always make sure that every day we stop at one of these memorials somewhere along the way. Just start getting people thinking about what our mission is. So for the Tour of Honor, that's from April through October. And I'm out there doing those all the time. And it's not just the state memorials that they do. There are memorials for the World War I doughboys, 9/11 memorials, the canine, the war dogs, all service animals, Hueys, Gold Star family members is a new category that we've got. So you just go out and you visit all of these memorials. It's a great way to keep your mind on what's going on with our mission every single day.
So Hoofer, in capturing so many other people's experiences and, the experience for yourself, what would you say is the most memorable moment that you've had in all these years, a decade now, and across the 3 routes that you've done. Most memorable experience or your favorite stop?
I've got a couple of really, really memorable occasions. I'll tell you the one that's narcissistic for me. And then I'll get into some what are probably even the better experiences I've had. A couple of years ago, the Midway Route got to go to the Seymour Johnson Air Base. And we got to ride down the center line of an active runway. And being the photographer, I'm up close. I'm in the service platoon, or what we call the 6-pack. Right behind the missing man. And unfortunately, my roommate, the road guard captain, decided not to tell me some of the secrets of things that were going to happen. But I got to thinking, if we're on an active runway, something's going to happen. And all of a sudden, I saw coming screaming at us, not 500, 600 feet off the deck, was a flight of jets coming in, and they broke into a missing man formation right over our heads. I had just enough time to get out my cell phone and get a picture.
Okay.
My good camera was in the back because it was raining. That's not the best part. Everybody's going ooh and ah. We get over there, park the bikes in front of a big, huge B-52 bomber. And they said, let's get a group photo. So my favorite experience was seeing these 5 or 6 Air Force photographers out there just going click, click, click. And I'm going, that's not good enough. I got to commandeer a truck, back it up, get up on top. There's a picture of me that I absolutely love. I'm up there directing. There's a full bird colonel out there in the middle of this group. And I'm yelling, Colonel, get him to move left. Hey, Sergeant, over there, get him to move to the right. I got to play important guy for a moment. I just love that.
That's super
That's
cool.
awesome.
But that's not that's my favorite experience for me. No, there's another one on my F&G year. I'll tell you guys now. Everybody on Midway Route knows this. I don't like kids. I never did. I didn't like them when I was a kid. 1 or 2 at a time is okay, but you get more than 3 together, you got a gang. Well, I got to, I don't even remember where it was, on the southern route. It was hot. I got off the bike at one of our stops, and this little girl walks up to me and said, would you like a bottle of water? I said, well, yes, thank you, sweetheart. I really would. And I said, well, would you like one of our Run for the Wall pins? This was my FNG year. She said, yes, I would. And her mother said, would you like him to pin it on you? She said, yes, please. So I get down on my knees and I'm going to pin it on her. And she sees a Patriot Guard patch on my shirt, on my vest. She said, oh, I know the Patriot Guard. I said, well, sweetheart, how do you know them? She said, he was there at a funeral that I went to. They were there at a funeral. Whose funeral was it? My uncle. He stepped on a landmine, and I lost it. Absolutely lost it. And all of a sudden, this little girl jumps forward, hugs me, and she says, it's okay. Sorry, my allergy is going to kick up here.
No.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. And it was that instance that when I realized Run for the Wall is not just affecting me and our riders, it's affecting the people that we're seeing. And this little girl made me reevaluate what I thought about those little urchin, those little kid things. She got it. She understood. Now, she had a personal connection, but she got it. And I see that going across the country. I still don't like kids, but I see the kids getting it. We go into some of the schools. One of the schools that we've adopted on Midway Route is Milan Elementary School. And we go in there, and the kids are going crazy. These aren't regular kids. They're being raised properly. They love their families. They love their community. They love their country. These are the kids we want running our country 15, 20 years from now. So as much as I hate to say it, probably anything that involves the kids, those are my favorite experiences.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. I just lost my man card right there. So
No. Come on, Hoofer. Hey,
But
for our listeners, Hoofer, where's Milan School located? The city or the state and city?
It's in it's right outside of Grants, New Mexico.
Got it.
So yeah, it's a very poor community. But they pull out all the stops for us. It's one of the Midway route's favorite stops.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of them, but Milan, we really, really enjoy that. And it's because those kids, they write us letters. They've got the school decorated. Out in front, they have a big circular drive. And so all the riders get to come in there and ride around that circle. And the kids are out there. We actually have to hold them back because they're wanting to high five the riders as they're going by. It's like a circus, but it's a controlled circus. It's really, really nice.
Well, we want to give a shout out to Milan School and
Absolutely.
Also to the teachers, the administrators, and the parents who we know make that possible, and of course to all the students there. So thank you for supporting Run for the Wall.
Yeah.
All right, Hoofer, how did you get your road name?
I didn't have one when I first started with the run. But like I said, having been to the reunion and gotten to know a lot of these people, I know that somebody could give you a name you didn't really want or that's hard to explain. So this was in, I guess, the earlier years of Facebook, 13, 14 years ago. There were some people conversing back and forth, and somebody said, "What's your road name?" I don't have one. A guy named Topper out in California said, "Well, tell us about you." So I was explaining some of the things I do, and one of the weirder things that I do is I like to go off on long hiking expeditions. I've led expeditions all over the world. I've led a team of climbers up to the top of Mount McKinley in Alaska. I inadvertently got to I discovered the northernmost mountain in the world up in Greenland. Actually, it's not a mountain. It's only 1,641 feet. Got to name it for my wife because I was the first person to ever climb it. I do weird long distance climbing.
He said that like it was nothing. You see that? He's just like, I did that.
I know the guy who put the GPS receiver on the top of Everest and checks it every year. So the stuff I've done is not a big deal. But when I mentioned the fact that I've hiked the John Muir Trail out in California, it's 220 miles long. There's one road that crosses it at mile marker 190, 191. I've hiked it many times from start to finish. Well, at that point, Topper just came out and said, "I proclaim your name is going to be Hoofer because you like to hoof it."
Yeah, I was going to say, you're definitely hoofing it.
And I thought, you know what? I could have been stupid. Or stupid too, because there was already a stupid.
There's already a stupid, yeah.
Exactly.
And there's a bonehead.
Yeah, exactly.
When you first started this, I thought you were going to say because you have a secret talent of tap dancing or something.
No, it's because I like to walk and hike. And I put it out there and said, I'll be Hoofer any day of the week.
I can't wait to hear about more of your expeditions.
So, Hoofer, tell us, changing for a minute, what do you ride?
I used to ride Indian Roadmasters until the one got dirty, and then I replaced it with another one that I had a custom POW MIA logo put on it. And I rode that for 3 years, but I'm not a mechanic, and I was literally riding it to death. So I ended up trading it in this past year for a BMW K1600 GTL because those are touring machines. That's what they are built. And then 1 week before the run, I was out doing a quick iron butt ride, and 700 miles into this trip at a little after midnight, I hit a pothole that bent the rim, and I was stranded on the road outside Lubbock, Texas for 5 hours until a fellow Run for the Wall rider that I had never met came and rescued me.
Wow.
So Donnie, thank you, Donnie. Appreciate you. So this past year I had to ride my rally bike, the one with the car tire on it. But I had 1 week to get that bike ready for the run, which included putting the CB on it, all my flashing lights. Because if you're going to be the photographer, I highly recommend put some bright, flashy lights on your bike because you're going to be standing on the side of the highway while the pack goes by, and you want people to see you. So,
what bike is your rally bike? The one you rode last year?
It's another BMW. It's the R1250 RT.
Okay, got it. That's the twin model.
It's the Boxer engine.
Boxer, yeah.
It's the
and
small
then
one.
I noticed on that bike, it looks like you have like an extra fuel tank or something. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is my rally bike, and for the long distance rallies. And by rallies, I don't mean like you'd have at Sturgis or any of those things. These are basically scavenger hunts where you have a minimum number of miles you have to do, but you have to get a bunch of points. In 2023, I was in the Iron Butt Rally, which is 11 days, 11,000 miles.
Yep.
And so some of the modifications you do is, I've got an extra fuel tank on there. I'm carrying an extra 4.5 gallons. So I've got just a little under 11 gallons of fuel, which comes in really handy. At rally speeds, I've got about 375 miles before I need to pull in fuel up. On the run, because on the run we do 500 the speed limit. I was only fueling up once a day because I was figuring out I had close to a 500-mile range. Because we aren't running super fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got an extra fuel tank on there.
That is so crazy. I mean, I can't even ride that long. There's no way.
Well, this is, like I said, how do I prepare? You get out and ride.
Yeah.
I can ride out. On the Iron Butt Association, you have to get a receipt every 350 miles to prove you're doing it. I can ride 345 miles before I have to get off the bike. And I can do that 3 or 4 times a day. So
we're not worthy.
I can't ride in the car that long before I have to get out.
Yeah.
Well, my bike will do about 220 miles before I really, really, really need fuel.
Right.
And really, really, really need to get off that bike.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, but I'm riding BMWs now because they're made to tour long distances.
Yeah, but you know what kind of confounds me is you love to walk, so why don't you ride a Harley?
Because I don't like to ride.
I'm kidding.
I don't like to walk that much.
That's an old joke. Harleys aren't like that anymore. I'm a Harley guy, so
yeah. If I had a Harley, I would have to walk. I want to walk because I want to.
Yeah.
Had you
I have nothing against
Harley
Harleys. I'm just not.
That would have been so bad.
I know. It's an old joke, and I'll just tell it now. It's a dad joke, right?
Yeah.
What's the only brand of motorcycle that's mentioned in the Bible? The Lord's triumph was heard throughout the land.
Exactly.
However, if we read the scriptures, we know that Jesus rode a Harley. And do you know how we know that? Because he walked everywhere he went.
Okay, I'll give
you
that.
Okay.
Like I said, I have nothing against Harleys. I'm not anti-Harley. I'm just not a Harley.
I love my Harleys.
Yeah.
I've got 4 of them. So
yeah, there you go.
All right. So advice for F&Gs. What do you have?
I got a couple of them. First, for riding. Before you get on Run for the Wall, do yourself and everybody else a favor and learn to operate your bike at slow speeds. Because the most incidences I've ever seen happen in the fuel line or the parking lots. Because as an FNG, you are going to overpack. Your bike is going to be upright, but it's going to be top heavy. And you're going to be going slow. And if you don't know how to handle it, you're going to lay your bike in. It's going to take a nap. And you don't want your bike taking a nap in front of 300 of your best friends.
That's right.
They will not let you forget it. So practice riding slow speed maneuvers, especially after you've got your bike packed. Just really practice it. Practice. But also, and this is just the riding aspect of it, practice riding in both the left track and the right track. And if you don't know what that is, we take up an entire lane. Everybody knows what the lane is on the in a car. Well, your left track is where the left tires of your bike your car would be, and the right track is where the right tires would be. And it is really different riding in the right-hand track than it is in the left-hand track. Especially as you're going around corners, most bikes like to go into the curve a little bit. On Run for the Wall, you have to stay in your track. Always, never switch tracks unless one of the road guards tells you to. So you have to practice riding in that track in all sorts of weather, all sorts of conditions, left, right. Just practice that. That's the easy part, though, just getting your bike ready. What my best advice for all of the FNGs is keep your mind open. And I don't mean in the granola tree hugger kind of way. By the way, I'm a tree hugger. So, I'm not talking about any of that metaphysical stuff. I'm talking about just be open to new experiences.
Right.
Because you're going to have them. Whether you want them or not, you're going to have them. And if you keep your mind open to these things, you'll have more and more and more of them. Jerry Lanier, like I said, the photographer for the Southern Route, keeps saying, when are you going to write a book? And what he's talking about is I try to keep my mind open to any and all possibilities. When I see a vet, I go up to him and I tell him, welcome home. Thank you for your service. I will buy a lunch every once in a while. When I'm going down the road, if I see a flag that's tattered, my mind has become ingrained to go out and change it. Or to, at least I've actually given money to people to get a new flag because I've got my mind open to these things. And when you do, all sorts of weird things are going to happen to you. Just be ready, be receptive. If somebody wants to come up and hug you, hug them back. Hug them. If they give you one, you hug them twice. If somebody shakes your hand, shake their hand and then hug them. Just be open. If I hadn't been open, the little girl who gave me that water bottle I wouldn't have had that experience. Another kid story, because I was open to it. They always tell you that the meals aren't free, they're donated. Well, one of the things I don't like is grape jelly on my peanut butter. I really don't. Oh, it just makes me, can hardly eat it. I was in Port Royal and this Boy Scout walks up to me and said, can I give you a sandwich? And I said, sure. And I took it and I could see that had grape jelly on it. And he said, I made this. Okay, great. And I could tell by looking at it that he had made it yesterday. It was the best sandwich I'd ever had because this kid was just looking at me with these eyes like, oh, please eat the sandwich. And I took a bite of it, and by gosh, it was the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich I have ever had. And I still eat them at least once a week. But I love peanut butter. But it was the best one because that kid just had this look in his eye. And I saw some other people who say, oh, thank you, and they'd put the sandwich in the pocket and they'd walk away. But I was open to this kid's emotion, and it was the most amazing meal I think I've ever had, period.
Aww.
Because I was opened up to what he had. Again, another kid story. But yeah, I'll get off the kid stories. But they are amazing. Keep an open mind.
What's next, Boots?
What's next? Let's see. Well, what are your plans for this year's run for 2025, the 35th Run for the Wall?
Okay. First off, I thought about this one because I go all the way. That's always my plan.
Okay.
But
midway route
again this year.
Yep.
But one of the things I've said repeatedly today, being the photographer is absolutely amazing. I don't worry about the work. I don't worry about the long hours. It's absolutely amazing. I get to experience things no one else on the run gets to experience. I get to do things the road guards don't even dream of. The RCs have their mind focused. I get to go out and play. It's absolutely amazing. The experiences I've had have changed me as a person, hopefully for the better. I like to think that my experiences with Run for the Wall have made me a better man. But I'm also the sit rep author, which means I always get to listen. And people bring me in to their stories. So I get to tell their stories. and it's amazing. I don't regret a minute of any of these. But they're experiences that are so amazing. I want somebody else to have those experiences. I don't want to bogart them for myself.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
not fair to the next person. Just like we rotate everybody throughout all the positions. My plans for 2025, sorry, Midway, I know you're hearing this for the first time,
Uh-oh.
is to find my replacement for both the photographer and the sit rep office.
Okay.
They're such beautiful positions, and they have enriched me so much that I want somebody else to get to experience
it.
this. So
Yeah, fair
that's
enough.
my plan.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think it makes a lot of sense to get out there and start doing it on the run. That way you can kind of take someone up under your wing.
Absolutely. We have a mentorship for every position in Run for the Wall, except the photographers and sit reps. People just seem to get thrown into it. What I would love to do is in 2025, find somebody who's interested and help mentor them to get them ready to take over. Same thing with the sit reps. I believe in paying it forward and giving somebody else the incredible experiences that I've had. Oh, I could keep on doing it forever until I die.
Right.
And I don't think too many people would begrudge me that. But it's not fair to them.
Gotcha.
I want somebody else to get to enjoy these things.
All right. So
That's my plan.
we're starting to get a little bit short on time, but can you quickly tell us a little more details about Hoofer's Hooligans? Like, where do you all start? That way, if someone wants to join you all, or if you're open to that, like, how does that look?
Absolutely. Well, Hoofer's Hooligans actually started 25 years ago.
Okay.
By a gentleman named Dutch. I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry. It's what we call one of the runs to the run. Excuse me for a second. A run to the run is simply a group of like-minded riders going from one location out to Ontario to begin the run. To begin Run for the Wall. Well, 25 years ago, Dutch created what was called Dutch's Demented Desperados, the DDD. And he took 3 days to get people from the Dallas-Fort Worth area out to, at that point, Rancho Cucamonga. And a lot of people started saying, I just can't do that in 3 days. It's a lot of riding. It's 500 miles a day. And a lot of people can't do that. 5 years later, Roger Mead, everybody knows him as Cowboy, took it over and it became Cowboys Desert Renegades. And I got to ride with a CDR a couple of times. And after doing that for 10 years, Cowboy said, I'm going to retire.
Okay.
And what he was doing from leading this ride, what they were doing is they were teaching people, okay, we don't teach anything in Run for the Wall. We encourage people to develop the skills to ride safely.
Right.
And so that's what the CDR was doing, Cowboys Desert Renegades. He used this to get people into the mindset of how do you ride in a formation comfortably, safely, by start slow, work our way up into formations, always running a missing man formation if at all possible. Well, in 2015, he said that he was, I believe it was 2015. Yeah, it was. He said he wasn't going to do this anymore.
Okay.
I said, but Cowboy, we need the CDR.
Right.
We really do. I saw intrinsic value in it. I said, who's going to take it over for you? And he said, you
Sounds
are.
like you just volunteered, buddy.
No. I was voluntold. Anybody who knows Cowboy knows that he gets his way. He's very well respected. Some people like him, some people don't. I love the man. I think he's absolutely fantastic. Cowboy, thank you for trusting me to take over what you and Dutch had been doing for 15 years.
Right.
Well, when I took it over, I wanted to do something a little bit differently. We leave Dallas-Fort Worth on the Thursday before the run starts.
Okay.
I don't have the dates yet for it. And
That
we
should be
take
about
4
the
days
8th or
to,
something. I'll tell you.
yeah, something, I think it is the 8th. We take 4 days to get across the country. And what I do is I make sure that we start out riding in a staggered formation to get everybody used to riding, in a formation. The second day we start riding much closer, and we will have start helping people ride side by side. I encourage people when we're on the hooligans ride, let me help you learn to ride side by side, because that will help you even if you're in a staggered formation.
Right.
By the third day, these riders are amazing riders. When we pull into Ontario, we look like a crack organization. We are some of, and it's not because of me, it's because of these riders. They become some of the best riders you will see, formation riders with Run for the Wall. But what we do is, like I said, I make sure we get us ready in our mind as well. So we will stop at 1 or 2 memorial sites all the way across the country every day, to keep our minds ready, to keep our bodies ready for us. I like to eat. Oh, I love to eat. And so I'm very well known for finding really good places for us to eat lunch. Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to tell that story because why not? I love barbecue. I'm from Texas.
Okay.
Barbecue 3 times a day plus snacks. I can do it. I guess it was on the 3rd hooligans ride. Mr. Magic, who's always on the southern route, looks at me and he just says, after our 2nd or 3rd barbecue and or Mexican food stop, he just said, Hoofer, can't a brother get some greens sometime?
They sell greens at barbecue restaurants.
Oh no, he wanted some good soul food. So what I do now is every year, yeah, we're eating Mexican food and barbecue,
And so
but at least once we're going to go out to dinner where somebody can get a salad. You
That's
can ask
great.
You guys know FaceTime.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
From the Central Route. He got his name on the hooligans ride, his F&G year, because every day he was FaceTiming with his son.
Yep.
So I was very pleased that we were able to give him that name.
Hey,
Ask him.
Steven.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, his son is amazing, too.
Yes, he is.
That's
But
my
ask
buddy.
FaceTime what snack and bacon is.
I will. I'll text him and ask. But yeah, like earlier we were talking about the platoons, and that's how Boobs, FaceTime, and I met. We were all in the same platoon,
Okay.
my F&G.
Yep. FaceTime is my brother from another mother.
There you
So
go.
you had me as an
But that's what the
F&G,
hooligans-
you had Boobs as assistant platoon leader, and FaceTime as a tail
FaceTime was
gunner.
a tail gunner.
Outstanding, outstanding. But that's what the hooligans do, is we actually run like an RFTW platoon to get people ready and so that they can ride safe.
Awesome.
And it also helps people. We've got some people, I've been very proud that there's some people who wanted to ride with Run for the Wall, but were afraid to go out there alone. To get out to California.
Yep.
And I welcome them in, I bring them in, and there's safety in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
We do everything we can. We have had a couple of times bikes have broken down on the way out there. I try to make sure that they are well taken care of before we continue on. But we run it like we do with Run for the Wall. By the time if you're part of Hoofer's Hooligans, by the time you get out to California, you are ready physically and emotionally to run with any platoon, any route.
Hoofer, you bring up a really good point, and I'll say this before we move on, but like for me, I would always ship my bike to California, and I did all right. But it would have been really cool to ship it to an area where there was a run to the run. Well, hold on. I lied because my leave is not set up like that. But let's say it was, okay, because I'm not retired. If I did have the leave, it would have been really nice to ship it to a run to the run and ride with a group like Hoofer's Hooligans to head back.
Absolutely.
But the last question that we have for you, how did you almost get arrested? I hope you didn't think that I was going to let that slide.
Yeah, can't let that go.
I got you, people.
Okay.
I know you remember him bringing it up. I was not going to let that slide. What happened?
Well, this was a communication error on my part. I'll take the blame for it.
Okay.
We were in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque's in New Mexico, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We were in Albuquerque.
APD. Know them well.
And we were about to do a presidential escort. If you don't know what a presidential escort is, they're a thing of beauty. The police are going to shut down the entire freeway. And this was at rush hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on the CB and I went up to hauled it up to 6th string. I said, should I get pictures of this? And he said, yeah. So I'm on my bike and I pull out. We hadn't started the escort.
I know where this is going.
Oh, yeah. And I pull out and I go around the police officer and I get a mile down the road when in my rear view mirror, there are flashing lights and a police officer pulls up next to me, pulls in front of me and goes, just gives me the hand. And okay. And he pulls forward about 3 or 4 feet and he goes, points at me, keeps giving me that hand. And I shrank. I grabbed my camera, put it over my shoulder, and I never looked back. I just kept my eyes forward and just started taking pictures over my shoulder. I did not move. And I even waited till everybody was gone past before I moved that motorcycle again. I just knew I was going to be the first photographer ever arrested for doing my job on Run for the Wall. So 6th string, again, I'm sorry. And to that police officer, that's just doing my job. Yep. I was going to be safe. I was only going to go about another mile down the road and get more pictures of everything going by. But no. So, again, do what the police say.
Yeah, and Albuquerque is a special area that we go through because normally New Mexico state patrolmen close the entire highway the entire time we go through New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And the road guards ride with the state troopers together and we keep the pack safe. However, when we go through Albuquerque, specifically, APD takes over and we all stand down and the road guards just ride in our platoon with the rest of the pack. Yeah, they don't want us road guarding. And they also don't want the state police doing anything. So the state police ride in their platoon and Albuquerque APD takes over. And we've been told, you just stay in formation
Hoofer.
And don't do anything.
Well, I can promise you, everybody on Midway Route knows about do what the police tell you to now.
Yep. Yeah. Central too. Same thing.
Oh my God.
And Albuquerque police do a fantastic job.
Yes, they do. Awesome.
You'll be seeing, there will be a mile backup at every intersection.
And we're super grateful for the support that they provide.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, we don't get that in every state. So it's definitely appreciated.
So Officer Hand, I apologize.
Officer Hand, see you playing to me. All right, so now we're going to move on to Tech Tips with Ted. What do we have this episode?
All right. Well, I'm going to make this brief because I know we're running long. But
sorry.
Today, I wanted to talk about footwear, on the motorcycle. Because, your feet can get a lot of abuse, especially when things go pear-shaped on a bike. Sometimes your feet are the first thing to hit the ground, or, if you happen to slide. It's something to really take into account. And as my good friend Bruce Bartolomeo says, dress for the slide and not the ride.
He does say that.
So I'm going to do a little show and tell because I love to do show and tell and talk about some footwear. And, my road name is Boots. And this is, how I got my road name. These are the boots that got me my road name. These are Alpenstar boots. They are road racing boots. These are Super Tech R's. And the reason I wore them on Run for the Wall, I wore them first in 2018, and I've worn these every year since. These were my racing boots. And these are a special red, white, and blue edition with a Statue of Liberty graphic on them. And my wife thought it would be kind of cool for me to wear them on Run for the Wall because they're patriotic. And so I wore them over my jeans, and then that earned me the nickname Boots. But these are super, super protective. What you may not know, and I'm not advocating wearing road racing boots, but I did want to show these and explain that, you've got a toe guard. This one's been replaced several times. I've had them resoled because, they get really trashed, especially racing. And I've crashed in these boots probably 6 or 8 times. But the amount of protection inside, you actually have a boot within a boot. And I'm going to pull the inside out. This goes on your foot, and it limits the ankle motion, especially in a crash. And that protects your ankle. And then once you put this on and lace it up, you put the outer boot cover on, and that has additional protection in all the right places, so that if you were to hit the ground and slide, like right here, this is ground down from the asphalt from sliding. And here's the other, this is a left boot. And you can see there's some, just rashed up from sliding. These really protect your feet, your ankles, everything. And that can make the difference between getting back on your bike, picking it up and going on, or, something worse like an ambulance ride or a broken foot. And, on Run for the Wall, even, just riding, you see a lot of riders wearing a lot of varying things, from sandals to Converse high tops, which I don't want to mention any names, Kirk Olson, but it might not be the best idea when you're riding on Run for the Wall. Here's the newer version of the same boot. These are my racing boots now. This one has a steel toe on it, or steel boot on the outer for flat track racing. That came from Light Shoe in Sturgis, South Dakota. So Kelly and Gary Kinsler made that for me. Those are my boots now. And you can see, like, also from the racetrack, we do use those toe sliders quite a bit because you're leaned over pretty far. But I don't want to advocate always wearing a race boot. It may not be right for you. So, wearing a good, sturdy, like a hiking boot or a boot that has, full ankle protection, this is not a motorcycle boot at all. But this is a really good choice because it also has a really grippy sole. So when you have your feet down at an intersection, you don't slip. And, if something should happen, you have at least some protection over a regular shoe. This boot right here is a Dionisi. It's not a race boot. It's sort of halfway between a street boot and a race boot, but it's not nearly as garish as my racing boots. And you can wear this tucked under jeans. You can see I've crashed in these too. I slid that thing off and rashed it up a pretty good amount, but they're super comfortable. It's like wearing a tennis shoe. It doesn't feel like wearing a boot at all, and it really, really protects your ankle. My wife hates racing boots. Well, except on me. She doesn't like wearing them herself. So she wears something like this is her
Those
boot.
are cute.
It's an Alpenstar boot. Yeah, it's very cute, fashionable, but you maybe can't see it. It has extra padding and protection in all the right places where you're likely to hit your foot in the event of a fall and keep you protected. The only other thing I'm going to show you, and again, this is a motocross boot. It's my motocross boot. If you ride like a BMW GS or a ADV bike, maybe a Harley Pan America or a Triumph or a KTM, these are great. I actually wore these once on my big Harley Ultra Limited. Can't say I recommend it. These are more like wearing a ski boot. I was breaking them in, and I just had to get some miles in them. But for an ADV type bike, even on Run for the Wall, these cannot be beat. They're excellent. But pay attention to that. As Bruce says, dress for the slide, not the ride. It can really make the difference between getting up and brushing yourself off or being picked up and loaded into an ambulance. So take your footwear seriously.
Thanks, Boots. All right. So this
it.
episode, we do have a listener letter. It says, Hitch, I met you last year under a covered entryway hiding from the rain. Didn't help we got poured on the entire day. Smiley face. My question is, what is the best phone holder that I can mount to be able to send and receive text messages while riding in formation going down the highway.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what I said, right? See, you laughed a lot sooner than I did. I read it like 3 times and I was like, I'm not reading this on the podcast. Absolutely not. Immediately, no. Then it says, now that your eyebrows are raised high up, this is a joke question. I was like, oh, thank you. This is a joke question, but one safety concern I saw a few times last year. Riders really should stay focused and not be messing with their phones in the group. You hear that, people? Safety first. Don't be sending text messages. Set your playlist when you're at the gas station about to pull off or something like that. Then it says,
yeah, don't be messing with your phone, even if you're riding alone down the highway, because you can ride off the road.
Yeah. So then it says, thanks for a great podcast, sister. Is it May yet? Last year, my son rode one leg with us, the hail and tornado leg, and loved it so much. He's meeting the route in Colorado and riding the rest of the way. I will be retired after 40 years and will start in California. Jim Cowboy Yeoman. So thank you so much for getting, a good scare and laugh out of me. But thank you for listening and for writing in. But yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate sending the letters, especially that one, which is kind of a funny at the beginning there. But yeah, send us any kind of comments or questions that you have. We want to hear from you. And for more information on Run for the Wall, visit our official Run for the Wall website at rftw.us.
That's right. Send us your experiences on the run, topics you would like to hear, and any questions that you may have. Or, like Hoofer, if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast and share your experiences that way, just send us a message at pod@rftw.us. Yeah.
And Hoofer, do you have anything else to add before we close out?
Every day is May.
Every day is May.
Every day is May. Sounds good.
That's it.
All right. Until then.
Thank you guys for letting me be here today.
Absolutely. But how far are we going?
All the way.
We'll see y'all next time.
Ciao.